happened? My name is Richie, and today I show you guys how to make an Among Us map in Fortnite Creative. This will be a multiple part tutorial because it's an extra very complex system to build. So I can split it up in multiple parts, and you can even learn something from it if you don't want to really build an Among Us map, but just learn something on setting up teams and stuff like that. So the first part will be just making the teams, setting up the map, setting up the layout, setting up the visions of the imposters, setting up the crewmates and all that stuff. And then let me know what you want to see for the next part. I can obviously adjust that. So if you want to see like doing the tasks or how to make the tasks or how to make the voting system first, then we can do that as well. So with that being said, let's go into the video. All right, so let's start in with the first thing, which would be, starting building the layout of the map that you want to create. Here are a few things that you have to take care of. If you want to just copy and paste an Among Us map, then you can just basically look up Among Us map on Google Maps and then just copy and paste the layout. Just use whatever tile you want first. Just make sure that the layout is perfect, and then you can start creating the rooms. But for example, if you want to create something that is more feature friendly, like for example, you want to send that into Epic so they can feature it on the hub, you have to obviously build your own map and should probably not name it Among Us. But obviously the game mode is very popular, so you can still use that. For that, I would give you the advice that you just start, placing some random tiles on the floor to check, oh, I can build a room here, and then just randomly. And if you're done with that, and if it's fine, if it works great, then you can start, building in the walls, like kind of get a little bit of more shape, but still don't worry about what these walls are or what material they're on or whatever. That would just make you take forever. So just build some walls and then slowly start in, okay, I can make this room, this looks like a med area, or this looks like a secret room or whatever. And then you can slowly start building your stuff. But that shouldn't be obviously big of a problem. It obviously depends on you what you want to do. If you just want to rebuild it, then you can also kind of skip the steps that I just showed you and just start immediately recreating. And then once you're fine with that, you can start putting in these black tiles here. These are for the minimap. The reason why we do this is because we can see the minimap very clearly here. We don't have any in between. You can very clearly see where the player is on and whatnot. You could technically also put that on top and then cut it off or whatever. I think that's too much work. So just put them on the bottom layer here. It will also look a lot nicer for the spectators that we're going to add later. So just put in these black tiles here. These are just like these, and you can just put them in here. Then obviously for the corners, you can turn them. Very simple stuff. And then put black barriers all around it. I left some open here so we can see this a little bit more clear. But obviously you have to cut them off as well. So one last thing which you can do for the layout, and then we come to the fun part, is putting in billboards. So billboards are a very fun device to use because basically what you have to do here is just turn off the border and they will turn into black. Then you have to scale them up a little bit. And the cool thing about billboards is that they have one side is black and the other side is look through. So you can see here, I can clearly look through if I'm on top here on the spectator mode, and if I'm down here, I cannot see anything, which is needed so the spectators can see the people that are still playing, but the people that are playing cannot see the spectators, which is very important. So otherwise the gameplay would be a little bit scuffed. And then of course you want to put in all the billboards and put them in all these areas, so you have this same vision that you have over here in all the areas, and the spectators have a nice clear look on where they can fly. Okay, so let's start off with the spawning system. For that, we need a player spawns, and I can show you the setup in here. It is basically very easy. So let's start off with the first one on the top here so you don't get confused. What you want to do, obviously turn visibility off, so we don't want to see them. And then we want to have a channel when a player spawns. So that is important to give the players the colors. So basically when a player spawns here, he transmits a signal on channel 1 and then gets a color. I can show you that in a second. The next thing that we want to do is disable them as soon as someone spawns here or as soon as the game starts. For that we use channel 11. We use channel 11 for all of these here. You can see that right here. And what this will do is basically if someone presses the game start button, like here you can see channel 11, All the players are getting teleported to the main area, which is over here. And the channels for the teleporter are basically turn everything off here, play sound, visual, whatever, and then teleport to when receiving from. So that means if we press the button, we get teleported to this point. Like basically everybody gets teleported. So what we now have is basically we spawn here, we get a color, then we press the game start. The game start has channel 11, which means all of these get disabled and we spawn in the area on the front. So everything is fine here. Nobody can ever spawn here again. Okay, let's move on to the next one, and that is giving the players the colors. It is the easiest way to distinguish in between players, even though there are not too many colors, so more than 10 people is probably not recommended. But it's very easy to do. You're going to use the visual power-up effect. You can find that if you go into creative, and then look for devices, and this fries thing here is the gallery, and then you can find this little ball here. Then you turn it to glow if it's not by default. Select one of the colors. Effect duration is infinite. Time to respawn also infinite. Turn the audio off, that is obviously important, and then pick up when receiving from channel 1. So as you guys already saw earlier, this is linked to the first spawn pad, this is linked to the second spawn pad, and so on and so on. Very easy to do, works super fine. And let's move on to how to set up the crew and the imposters. First of all, we want to go into our island settings. And in the island settings, we want to change a few settings. Starting off, voice chat to all. So everybody can talk, that is important. Then team size to 2, set the team size dynamic. So that it allows us to give like different sizes of teams. So we only have 2 imposters and multiple crewmates. Default class to no, spawn limit to 2, that is important. Depending on what you try to create, you can obviously use different systems, but I showed it obviously in the later video. After last spawn, go to spectator, you can leave that on as well, and I don't think you have to change much more. You can obviously set your own time limit here, and then make sure they spawn on the spawn pads, but the rest is pretty self-explanatory, and you can basically leave everything on. Okay, in the settings we can also change a few settings. First of all, we can do the little effect where the vision is decreased. For that we need the fog. First of all, we can change the fog thickness to the fog color to black. That would give this nice little decreased vision look. You can see that here already. Like it still, you can see that the fog is there, but obviously we haven't set up the fog yet. So the next thing that we want to do is set up the fog thickness, and then depending on how large you want this to be, you can go full ham or just be a little bit more forgiving. Keep in mind that this could look very different in different game settings. So if you're on mobile or Switch or whatever, this could look very different. I can show you this quickly. So if I put all the settings on high here, you can see that the edge is a lot clearer and it's not like this like blurred out line. And even if I put this down to 100 again, you can see this is like a lot more vision than it would be with medium settings. So depending on which platform you're on, this could look very different for you. So keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to turn that off so I can still see everything here in the tutorial. And that is basically all you have to change in the settings category. You can change all of these also in the team and inventory setting devices. You can change them in here, but it doesn't really matter too much. The weapon slot should be to none. Okay, let's move on to the device here, which is the team's settings and inventory. So I set up 2, one for the crewmate and one for the imposter. So crewmate is team 1. I also named them crew. That will be important if you have a leaderboard or something, so they can see which ones are crew and which ones are not. Give them a color depending on what your personal preference is. Default class still no. Then basically, if you don't see a setting in here, then you don't have to change it. Grant ammo with weapons, no, but it doesn't matter because we don't have weapons. Health to 100, max health to 1, so 1 shot kill, that is important. Starting shields to no, max shields also no shields, infinite ammo no, infinite resources no. Player names and locations show player health and indicator, and display health for all players. Depending on how hard you want to make it for the teams and whatnot, I would recommend doing that. I will always show like it is in Fall Guys. If you run past someone, you can see their name, so it should be the same in this. Show player health indicator depends on you. You can put that to everyone. This display health for all players should be set to whatever you want. It doesn't really matter too much. You can see a little health bar. I think it's kind of neat, so you can do that. Now we come to the important stuff. Spawn limit is 2, as already set up. You can still change that in here if you have different settings. So this is, I think, one of the most confusing settings in the game because the description also is not really helping. But what this would basically means is the maximum team size of what team 1 of players can have. So if I have a 10-player lobby, I want 8 of them to be max crewmates. And this one is probably the most confusing setting of all of them. That is basically the ratio on how these teams are set up. So if I have 8 crewmates, I want them in a 4 by whatever ratio you want to have. So we're doing a 4 by 1 ratio. So for every 4 crewmates we have, I'm going to have 1 imposter. We're going to set that up in the other device in a second. So set that up if you want to have a 10-player lobby like this. If you want to go higher, then obviously you have to fit in your own settings there. So these settings are important to make it so only imposters can kill people. You want to set the self-damage on hit amount to 1. That will basically, one-shot kill someone. And the self-damage target should be pickaxe only, pickaxe only. We don't have any other weapons in the game. The maximum equipment slots should be to no, but also not too important. And then allow friendly fire, yes. Moving on to the imposters, there's nothing too much different here. Same thing here. Name the imposter team, make a team 2, give it a different color. Default class to no, grant weapons no. Health to invincible, so it's obviously make sure that they're not dying from someone punching them. Then the next thing is max health to 1, starting shields to no shields, player and team's location. So this is different because we want to see who is the imposter. It's like if you're an imposter, you want to see who is the other imposter. So what you do here is basically team only. So basically only the 2 imposters will see who they are, or who's their teammate. And then same thing here, show player health indicator, anyone, display health, yes. Spawn limit to 2, even though you can also change that to 1 basically. So the max initial team size is 2. So we want, if we have 10 players on the map, we only want 2 max imposters. And the initial team size ratio is 1. So that means we set up 4 in the crewmates, and that would be 4 by 1. So for every 4 crewmates, we have 1 imposter. And then same here, maximum equipment slots to no. And that is it. That is basically all you have to do here for the team settings. You can also set up a little device, which I think really helps with like knowing who you are. But what you want to put in here, obviously the message, you are an imposter. So the person knows that he is actually an imposter now. Obviously, team 2 should only receive this message. Then 1 second from the round start, or 1 second. So basically, the second the game starts, you can put that on. Display permanent, so they always know and don't have to like kind of rethink what they are. Text are large. Message priority critical, so that means it will pop up in red. Place don't know, and placement depending on where you want to have it. Very simple. You can do the same thing for the crewmates. And see here, you're a crew member, team 1, 1 second, same thing here. One last thing which you have to do is then if the person dies, we want to give them a special class so they can fly around. So for that, we want to set up a class designer. Only things that we need to change here is set it to class 1 and then player flight to on. That is by default off. And then we will need a class selector to actually select the class to a person. What we can do here is switch to class 1. Then time to switch instant, so it immediately gets put on the player, and then change the player to class when receiving from channel 99, which is our last part of the video here, and that is these spawn pads. So these spawn pads are all the same. Basically, I have enough for the whole lobby here. What these spawn pads do is they basically start getting enabled as soon as the game starts, as soon as we press that little button down there to start the game. So these get disabled and these get enabled. So if everybody dies in the map, they spawn here. Basically, that is what this trigger is doing. And then when the player spawns on that pad, he gets selected with that class that we just set up over there, and then he can do the flying around thing and do the task still as an imposter. And that is it for this video. Part 2 is coming, part 3 maybe as well, depending on how many parts I have to make. As already said, let me know what part you want to see, if I should do the task first or the voting system. These will probably be a separate video by themselves. So let me know, and I will see you guys hopefully back in the next video. Bye.